Liberal Viewer present.
So since the mid-20th century, when the U.S. Supreme Court first started applying the separation of church and state required by the U.S. Constitution to state-run schools, conservatives have been trying to find a way around the court's prohibition of the religious indoctrination of students. One of the more recent attempts tried to dress up the religious belief that someone is responsible for creating the universe as a scientific theory called intelligent design, which you can see defended by Bobby Jindal, the Republican governor of Louisiana often mentioned as a McCain Vice President, appearing on last weekend's edition of Face the Nation here.
Some want only to teach intelligent design. Some only want to teach evolution. I think both views are wrong.
But how about you personally? Where do you stand personally on the issue?
As a parent, when my kids go to schools, when they go to public schools, I want them to be presented with the best thinking. I want them to be able to make decisions for themselves. I want them to see the best data. I personally think that the human life, and the world we live in wasn't created accidentally. I do think that there's a creator. I'm a Christian. I do think that God played a role in creating not only Earth, but mankind. Now, the way that he did it, I'd certainly want my kids to be exposed to the very best science. I don't want them I don't want any facts or theories or explanations to be withheld from them because of political correctness.
And this idea that failing to teach non-scientific theories in a science class is some kind of political correctness is also shared by John McCain, who came out for the teaching of intelligent design in 2005 and referenced his evolution plus position in last year's Republican candidates debate, as you can see in this clip.
I believe in evolution, but I also believe when I hike the Grand Canyon and see it at sunset that the hand of God is there also.
Now, believing in the hand of God is John McCain's prerogative, but labeling that belief as science is not, as biologist Kenneth Miller, who testified as an expert witness in the ACLU's successful challenge to the teaching of intelligent design in Pennsylvania public school science classes, explained on the Colbert Report this week here.
The way that science works, and this is the open process of science, is you basically test ideas. And the problem with intelligent design is really simple: no data. It hasn't produced any data. It hasn't produced any testable hypotheses.
That's about 1,200 pages of data right there.
There you go.
Every page is a polite variation on God did it.
But despite Stephen Colbert's protestations, saying God did it is not scientific data, and giving a legal boost to that idea without valid data or provable hypotheses is really asking for a government subsidy for a religious ideology, as Kenneth Miller also explained here.
The thing to appreciate about pretenders for the classroom, like scientific creationism or intelligent design, is these are ideas that haven't been able to cut it within the scientific community. So you know what they're doing?
It's prejudice.
They're asking.
It's prejudice.
They're asking for a government handout. I would compare the advocates of intelligent design to welfare queens waiting for the government to give them a handout.
And the cost of this government handout goes well beyond the financial, which you can hear Kenneth Miller further explain in this audio clip from a more in-depth NPR interview last week, talking about the true cost of teaching intelligent design in science classes here.
It not only says that evolution is wrong, and that's a fine thing to say, we can always argue about that, but it also says the whole process of science is flawed, and it needs this special legislative boost. Now, the reason I worry about that is because it basically tells our students, even if it doesn't win these battles in various states, it tells students you can't trust the scientific process, that science is a profession in which if you wish to enter it, you not only have to give up your religious faith, you also have to give up any idea of fairness. And science as an institution basically is politically driven. It's not really an objective search for truth. And you as a young person, if you really want to find a profession in which you can follow your ideals, you ought to choose something else. If we raise a generation of American kids in which we have, intentionally or not, undermined their conception of science, I think we're going to lose our leadership position in world science.
So what do you think? Should Republicans who supposedly believe in a free market and limited government, not to mention national security, really be advocating for the government to subsidize a religious ideology that threatens America's leadership position in world science? And on the more general philosophical question, is increased scientific understanding based on empirical data and the scientific method really incompatible with faith-based beliefs about the origin and purpose of the universe?
YouTube, you decide.